The storm had just begun to break outside, the cold rain lashing against the cracked windows of the small apartment, when Grace Thompson felt the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. At 32, she was a single mother juggling 2 jobs, bills that never stopped piling up, and the constant fear that one misstep could leave her and her 7-year-old son, Noah, homeless. Every night, she prayed that somehow, just somehow, life would give her a break. But hope, lately, felt like a distant memory. On that particular rainy evening in Chicago, Grace was rushing home from her second job at a local diner, clutching her umbrella against the wind, her coat soaked through. Her mind raced with a list of worries. Rent was overdue, Noah had a school project due, and her car, faithful as it had been, refused to start again. As she hurried down the crowded sidewalk, her heart skipped when she noticed a man collapsed near the entrance of a small cafe. People passed by without a glance, absorbed in their own worlds, umbrellas shielding them from the rain. But something made Grace stop. Instincts, perhaps. Compassion. Without thinking twice, she ran to his side. The man was clutching his chest, pale and gasping, eyes wide with panic. It was clear, he was having a heart attack. Her mind raced, but her hands moved with surprising calm. She shouted for someone to call 911, laid him down gently, and followed the steps she had once read in a health pamphlet, checking for a pulse, keeping him conscious, urging him to breathe. Minutes felt like hours. The rain poured down, soaking them both, but Grace refused to let go. Finally, paramedics arrived, taking over with professional efficiency, but before they whisked him away, the man's trembling hand brushed hers in gratitude, eyes locking with hers in a moment that felt suspended in time. If you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, take a moment to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, because sometimes, a single act can change the course of someone's life forever. Days passed, and Grace tried to return to the rhythm of her exhausting life, but she couldn't shake the memory of the man she had saved. She had done what she always did, helped someone in need. But there was something about the intensity of his gaze, the unspoken gratitude in his eyes, that lingered in her mind. She never imagined she would see him again. Meanwhile, Michael Anderson, the man Grace had saved, was far from ordinary. A self-made CEO of a thriving tech company, he was used to people nodding politely at him in boardrooms or at gala dinners, never expecting genuine concern from strangers. But Grace's actions left an impression deeper than any handshake or forced smile ever could. He couldn't stop thinking about her, her determination, the way she didn't hesitate even in the face of fear, and the raw warmth that radiated from her despite the harshness of her life. A week later, Michael returned to the diner where Grace worked, under the pretense of thanking her properly. She had no idea who he was, only that he was a stranger she had helped in the rain. He introduced himself modestly, with a smile that hinted at vulnerability rather than arrogance. Grace, worn down by her struggles but instinctively kind, offered him a coffee, and they talked. What started as a brief, polite conversation stretched into hours. She spoke of her son, her dreams, and her fears, and he listened, genuinely interested, not as a wealthy stranger, but as a man captivated by her courage and heart. Life for Grace was still far from easy. Bills still needed to be paid, and she still carried the invisible weight of constant anxiety. But something had shifted, a spark of hope had entered her life, a reminder that there were people in the world who would see her for who she truly was. Michael didn't try to fix her problems or offer charity. He respected her independence, her pride, and her resilience. Slowly, a bond grew, built not on wealth or appearances, but on empathy, shared humanity, and quiet admiration. The seasons changed, and with them, Grace found herself laughing more, dreaming more, and, most importantly, believing more. Michael's visits became frequent, not because of who he was, but because he genuinely wanted to be near her. He met Noah, the shy, intelligent boy who had been her anchor through so many storms, and in him, found a joy he had long forgotten existed outside boardrooms and investments. Watching Grace with her son, seeing her love and determination firsthand, awakened something in him that no amount of success or money had ever done, a profound respect and growing affection that he could no longer ignore. Then came the evening that would change everything. Michael invited Grace to a charity gala, not to impress her with his wealth, but because he wanted her to experience a world she had always been excluded from. She hesitated, uncertain and self-conscious, but Michael insisted, reassuring her that she had nothing to prove. At the gala, surrounded by glittering chandeliers and high-profile guests, Grace felt out of place, yet Michael never let her feel small. He introduced her simply as Grace, the woman who had saved his life, and the room seemed to pause, recognizing not her social status, but her courage. After that night, the closeness between them deepened. Michael finally confessed, not in grand declarations, but in quiet, earnest moments, how saving him had been the turning point of his life, and how discovering her world, her strength, and her love for her son had opened his heart in ways he never thought possible. Grace, initially cautious, realized that love wasn't about perfection or wealth, it was about kindness, trust, and the courage to let someone see your true self. In Michael, she found a partner, but also a friend who understood her struggles, never judged her, and offered love freely, without conditions. Through their journey, Grace learned that small acts of compassion can ripple into extraordinary consequences. One rainy evening, when she had felt utterly powerless, a single act of courage had saved a life, and in turn, transformed her own. Michael, who had once been just a stranger, became a man willing to walk beside her, respecting her independence while sharing in her dreams. Together, they built a life where love, hope, and resilience triumphed over fear and hardship. And Noah, seeing his mother smile without worry, realized that the world, though often cruel, could also be profoundly beautiful. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it. Let us know what moments of unexpected kindness have changed your life. Comment below and share your story, your words could inspire someone else today. Because sometimes, love doesn't come in grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it comes in a drenched hoodie, a racing heartbeat, and the courage to help a stranger. Grace Thompson, a woman who had given all she could to survive, discovered that the same compassion that saved a life could also create a love she never dared to imagine. And Michael Anderson, the man who had everything except the one thing that truly mattered, found that wealth meant nothing compared to the heart of a woman who saw him as a person, not a position. In the end, both of them realized that life's greatest riches are measured not in dollars, but in love, empathy, and the courage to act when it matters most.